Happy Halloween. There will be no tricks today since all of you are in for a treat for part 1 of ranking horror movies.
We're obviously going to miss a lot of movies, so don't get mad at us for forgetting some of your favorites, but let us know which movies we forgot and where you would rank them.
Also, make sure you check out all of our Halloween-themed videos in the description if you missed them, and prepare yourself for Thanksgiving and Christmas-themed videos really soon.
Joey is going to have such a great time today.
Don't tempt him already, George. He's going to be screaming all video.
No, I won't. I'll prove it to you all.
Yeah, whatever. If that's the case, then what do you think about Michael Myers and Halloween?
I've never seen it before or even heard of Michael Myers, so I have no reason to be scared of it.
What?
What?
It's a literal Halloween and horror classic. There isn't a chance you haven't heard of Michael Myers, especially since he's in our Discord server.
Are you talking about Mike Myers as in the voice actor for Shrek?
Oh my gosh, why does his dementia have to do this?
Completely ignoring Joey, I feel like this movie holds up still. I mean, there's a reason why it's considered a horror classic.
You got that right. Michael Myers is the best horror villain without a doubt and will destroy anything and anyone in his path.
It's nuts to think that this movie came out 45 years ago in 1978. You can't go a single Halloween without watching this movie. Michael Myers is one of the most recognizable movie characters ever.
Before we move on, partners, if you're brand new to the channel, then consider subscribing for more content like this from us.
Let us know in the comments if you're new to our channel, and we thank you for taking your time to watch our video.
So slash that like button and let's move on to the next movie.
No, I think I'll cry if we talk about this movie.
Bro, The Shining isn't even a terrifying movie compared to other ones on this list.
I mean, it's kind of scary being alone in the mountains in a huge hotel with nobody to really help you.
Hotel? I should consider buying that hotel since it would bring in a lot of profits during springtime.
You just end up bankrupting the hotel just like all the other hotels and casinos you've bankrupted, and ain't no one wants to stay at a haunted hotel.
Yeah? And that's where you're wrong. Having it be quote-unquote haunted will only drive me more profit, and at least I got the money to buy my own property, unlike you peasant!
Hey!
Money doesn't mean anything anyways, but back to The Shining, this movie has a great storyline with a great cast.
I definitely rock with the characters in this movie since they're written in a way that makes you care for them and you're just intrigued with what's going to happen next.
This movie has some very iconic and memorable scenes that make it an instant classic.
That's exactly why I didn't like the movie. Too many scary scenes.
You're an actual tweaker, Joey, and it's real annoying, but next up is John Carpenter's The Thing.
John Carpenter directed the original Halloween movie, so you already know this one is going to be real good.
This movie definitely delivers with some pretty solid practical effects that are genuinely disturbing. So I give the movie that.
What the hell is that thing? Why does it look so damn ugly?
Yeah, and that's exactly why the movie is called The Thing. Seeing the gruesome transformations of The Thing is really the highlight of the movie.
It can literally split into separate parts and replicate any animal or even human, which is the scariest part.
I don't know what I'd do if I saw that thing in my house.
You don't need to know since you're basically that shape-shifting thing since you're a skinwalker.
No, I'm not.
Well, I'd say overall the movie has a very interesting story with some pretty good characters, and taking place in Antarctica makes it even better, so this is definitely a horror classic.
Ooh, we got Scream next to rank, and this movie is amazing.
I mean, it's a good movie, but not that good compared to Halloween.
I don't think you can really compare them both, since Scream really has a different take on the slasher genre and pokes a bit fun on the rules of horror movies.
I don't like it since that ghost face mask just shivers my timbers.
You're not going to like any movie that we talk about today, so just shut up and listen to us.
You don't know that.
I think one of the reasons that makes this movie so special is the cast and characters. This movie really does have a perfect cast, and each person matches the character they play extremely well.
Honestly, I think this is yet again another timeless horror classic.
Whoa, there, Towers, you're wrong, since it's not on the same level as Halloween and The Shining.
Yes, it is. It's influenced by those OG slasher films and took the best out of that genre of movies and turned it into something really unique, especially having multiple killers.
You see, that's why I think it's a classic. There's a reason why they're still making Scream movies even still to this date, plus that Ghostface costume is iconic.
Oh, whatever you dweebs, Michael Myers will forever demolish Ghostface.
Oh, look, it's Chucky. I had one of those dolls back when I was a little wee Biden.
Bro, what? This movie came out in 1988, and you were like 42 years old when this movie released, so you weren't little.
Damn, you're old, Joey.
I still had my very own Good Guys doll, and it protected me every night I slept with my pink fuzzy blankie. Mother tucked both Chucky and I in every night before we dreamt about ice cream and unicorns.
Oh, what a loser.
The crazy thing about this movie that blows my mind are the practical effects on Chucky. They got his movements looking really real, and those effects still hold up to this day.
For sure, George. I'm not sure how they did it, but that's one of the reasons that made this movie what it is. There was no CGI like how everything is nowadays. It was good old-fashioned real effects, and for that, this is an instant classic.
This movie definitely made every kid in the 90s afraid of dolls after watching it.
Before we move on to the next movie, if you want to watch our videos first and early before anybody else and get these emojis to use in the comments, along with these badges next to your name, consider being our channel member.
We'll also shout you out at the end of every video, and you get all these other bonus perks for being a member too. So if you want to support us even further, then press the join button next to the subscribe button or join in the description.
Now, why the hell is this movie on here? It's not even a horror movie.
Yes, it is. It's literally called Scary Movie, and it's the scariest movie I've ever seen in my 80 years of living.
I'm about to disconnect you if you say one more dumb thing in here, boy.
But I see dead people.
Yeah, okay, Joey, but Scary Movie obviously isn't a scary movie despite the title. It's a parody of a handful of horror movies, but more notably with Scream.
This movie is absolutely dog water. One of the worst movies I've ever laid my two billionaire eyes on.
Dog, this movie is not to be taken seriously. So if you go into watching this with a serious set of eyes, then you're not gonna have a fun time.
This is such a goofy movie, man. Even though it's so stupid that it's hilarious.
I just don't get how you guys can watch these movies.
I don't get how Towers and Obama think this is a good movie.
We never said it was a good movie. We're basically saying this is a wacky parody movie. Scary Movie definitely made that parody genre really popular. And a lot of other spoof-type movies that came out after were in fact garbage. But this one wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I agree with you. And if you guys want us to possibly do a parody movie tier list, then let us know. But compared to all these actual horror movies we're ranking, this is going into the mid-tier.
Oh my gosh, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. Chica is my favorite animatronic. She's so cute.
What the hell? I thought this skinwalker would be afraid of Five Nights at Freddy's.
Now that's just surprising that Joey likes something moderately scary.
Oh wow, so you think FNAF is scary? Now this is a first that you're actually scared of something, and I'm not.
Keyword, moderately scary. These stupid robots are just robots, and water will destroy them instantly.
The movie itself was pretty weak compared to the actual game. The writing and acting fell short towards the end of the movie, but I give them props for making the animatronics look really good in the film.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that. This movie just came out a few days ago, so it's pretty new, but so far my first impressions are that it's a pretty accurate depiction of the game and does a lot of fan service.
And that's why it's the best movie. This is better than the game, and it's not even a question.
Now that's just blasphemy. You really think something is better than the original, especially FNAF?
The only good thing going on with the movie are the practical effects and atmosphere, but aside from that, this is a forgettable movie.
No! Stop being mean to my precious animatronics. I'll have Chicken Foxy come after you.
Yeah, just shut up. Those Chuck E. Cheese wannabe robots won't do anything to this tremendous billionaire.
I'm not gonna cap. Those Chuck E. Cheese robots really creep me the hell out. And sort of the same with the Five Nights at Freddy ones too. There's just something about those death stares and mechanical sounds they have that give me goosebumps.
I mean, yeah, I can see that. And the movie definitely got that part perfect. But I don't know about the casting. Peeta from the Hunger Games is one of the main antagonists fighting against those animatronics. And the other characters just don't seem all too special.
But it's a good movie. This is going into the good tier. You don't see what I see. This was my childhood.
Five Nights at Freddy's didn't exist during your childhood, you demented pile of ashes. But I can see why anyone in their 20s now would say that this was their childhood.
I just wish this movie would have been rated R, just so they could go all out with the animatronics. But there was still some wild scenes in the movie. Since it's PG-13, it was a success in the box office, since the budget was $20 million, and so far, it made over $130 million globally and is still rising.
I don't want the movie to be rated R. That means I couldn't watch it without an adult.
You're literally 80 years old.
Moving on, we got the Babadook, which is a very, very solid movie.
Back then, when I saw the trailers for this movie, I knew it was going to be super scary and a great movie.
The only thing you're right about this movie is that it's super scary.
What surprises me about this film is the fact that its budget was only $2 million, and it grossed over $10 million after it came out.
I thought the movie would have made a lot more money since it had a really compelling story and the suspense was just great.
The only thing I didn't like about the movie was how annoying that kid was. The way he acted and constantly screamed reminded me of somebody in this VC.
Yeah, I wonder who.
We're talking about you idiot.
Overall, I think this is a goated movie because the lore of the Babadook with the book makes the movie even better, and the Babadook itself is a very unsettling thing to look at.
Next up, we of course got Friday the 13th. It's crazy to think that this movie came out in 1980.
Oh, this movie sucks. Jason isn't even in this movie.
Wow. Spoilers much, Sleepy Joe?
Some people still haven't seen the movie, bro.
The movie is literally 43 years old, so if you haven't seen it, then that's not my fault.
Wow, this movie is basically half of your age.
Well, Joey does have a point. Jason is barely in the movie and not even the main antagonist. His mom, Pamela Voorhees, is the main villain seeking revenge for Jason's death since the counselors let him drown.
Jason's mom is kind of bad, though, so I actually didn't mind Jason wasn't the main villain since he's scary.
How many times do we gotta tell you that you have a wife, you old man?
Oh, I have a wife? Is she hot like Pamela?
Just gotta ignore him at this point, but this movie has a very memorable setting taking place at Camp Crystal Lake, which is definitely different compared to other horror movies during that time, and you can't forget Jason's iconic theme.
Oh yeah, partner, that music is one of the most recognizable themes ever. But even though Jason with his classic hockey mask isn't in the movie, it's still a great setup for the future movies after this, and it's what made this entire franchise a classic.
The movie was boring. It wasn't even scary, and that says a lot coming from me.
Zip it, Joseph. You don't know what a good movie is. The only thing I'd give the movie criticism with is that some of the counselors in the movie were dumb. You got the typical horror movie cliches in this movie.
Well, obviously that's just how 80s horror movies were, but I feel like that's something that kind of made those movies what they are. No offense, but you had the casual white people going out alone, checking every dark corner and scary place with those infamous quotes. Let's split up and cover more ground. I'll be right back. I should check it out. Hello? Is anyone there? Yeah. That's literally every horror movie ever, and no nigga would be as dumb as that.
Going off of horror movie cliches, we all know what would happen to Barack if he was in a horror movie.
And what are you trying to say?
Well, it's pretty obvious you'd be the first one to go.
I hate you guys. But next up is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas! Oh Lord, my beautiful Texas.
Crazy thing is that the events this movie is based on didn't happen in Texas. It took place in Plainfield, Wisconsin from the real-life serial killer Ed Gein.
Oh, really? I always thought this actually happened in Texas.
What a clickbait movie title then.
I think the reason why they named it that was to tell a different, unique story in a rural and scarier environment to create its own take on horror movies.
And it did that really well. This is a very intense movie, and Leatherface himself is a psychopathic maniac.
Leatherface is just disgusting, man. I don't know how a human can do what he does, but I feel like Texas really does match the vibe they were going with Leatherface. And also, the characters of the movie weren't too bad.
The guy in the wheelchair was doomed from the start, and we all knew it. Poor guy just wanted to find his friends, but ended up basically becoming Leatherface's dinner.
He should have stopped being in a wheelchair then.
And you should stop having dementia then. And as a matter of fact, you'll be in a wheelchair pretty soon here.
This movie is obviously another classic. The fact that this movie came out in 1974 just blows my mind.
Yeah, bro, and for its time, and even still now, the horror aspect was done in such a way that makes you feel like you're the one being chased by Leatherface's chainsaw.
Oh no! It's Freddy Krueger's movie!
Stop being scared. The last couple of times Freddy was here in VC, he was actually nice to you and gave you good dreams.
Freddy is a super chill guy. I hope he comes by more often, even though it won't be Halloween anymore. But this movie came out in 1984, and I'd say the best and scariest part of this movie were the visual and practical effects.
100%. This movie definitely pushed the boundary with innovative filmmaking techniques that made the watching experience worth it.
Oh, thank God it's not the 80s anymore, because if I were to fall asleep, I'd have those horrible dreams that Nancy and her friends had.
Speaking of Nancy, I definitely liked her role in acting. She did a solid job, but the other people in the movie had pretty mediocre and cheesy acting.
The cheesy jokes were terrible, but nonetheless, this is a horror classic.
Next up is Freddy vs. Jason, and this is a crazy crossover that people probably didn't see coming.
Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees in one movie? Yeah, I'm definitely not watching it.
What? That's literally the only reason to watch this movie.
Even though it's a super cool idea, the movie's acting and the pacing is just laughable. I just can't take this movie seriously, bro, but I guess that's the fun of it.
This is more of a comedy than a horror movie. This is an ultra cringe and cheesy movie, despite having two of the best horror villains in it.
Cheese. I love cheese.
You know, I hate to do the homie Freddy and Jason wrong, but this movie really is mid as hell.
At least this movie is a fun time. No alcohol required.
Silence of the Lambs is a terrific movie with the tremendous acting performance from Anthony Hopkins. I'm a big fan of Hannibal Lecter as he's a big fan of me.
I said, that's Silence of the Lamb. You know what that is? Has anybody seen Silence of the Lambs? Hannibal Lecter, how great an actor was he? You know why I like him? Because he said on television, on one of the I love Donald Trump, so I love him. I love him. I love him. He said that a long time ago, and once he said that, he was in my camp. I was in his camp. Yeah, I don't care if he was the worst actor. I'd say he was great to me.
How are you a fan of somebody that literally eats people? Are you insane?
I'm a fan of his acting, you dipwad. Anthony's portrayal of Hannibal is one of the most iconic performances in cinema history.
Now, I agree with you on that. The things he does in the movie just makes you feel like he's real, and it gets under your skin, no pun intended.
Even though Anthony Hopkins had a stellar performance of Hannibal, Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling matched the energy extremely well, and her acting performance was very believable and impressive.
You guys are crazy for praising a scary movie about a person who's a cannibal.
Oh, why don't you shut up? The movie is not even scary. It's more or less a psychological thriller with some horror elements.
Yeah, that's true. Especially that one scene with Buffalo Bill at the end of the movie. That was a really intense and wild scene with the night vision goggles. So all in all, I honestly think this is an instant classic.
Now, why do we keep talking about these gross movies? Why is Saw on this list?
Because it's a horror movie, bro, and regardless if it's a very disgusting movie, this one in particular really had an influence in the horror genre.
I don't know about that, Towers. It's not no Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, obviously, but the fact that this was such a low-budget film of only $1 million and made $100 million in the box office was an enormous success.
Even though it was a success, they really juiced out this franchise and came out with 9 more movies after this.
And all 10 movies were a waste of time.
Half of the movies were. I give you that, since they were really the same idea with a new set of gruesome traps in each movie.
The traps made the Saw franchise one of the goriest set of movies ever made. They really have you looking away from the screen since it's so knee-jerking to watch.
I think the best part about those Saw movies are the plot twists and turns. Every movie has an unexpected twist with that classic music and is connected in some way, whether it be a prequel or leads to some other storyline. It makes the movies worth to watch despite the nerve-wracking traps.
Ah, hell yeah. When that music comes on, you know you're in for a treat. But honestly, I'm torn in where we should put this movie.
Mid. This movie is mid at best and doesn't compare to the classics and goated movies we rank.
No, the movie is trash and awful. Billy the Puppet scares me when he just stares at me with no facial expression.
Leave Billy the Puppet alone. He's just vibing, bro. Let him ride his tricycle in peace.
Well, I think I'm just going to put this movie into the good tier because I feel like we're going to rank better movies than this.
The Conjuring is a better movie than Saw, despite demons and ghosts being fake news.
Now, how the hell can you like a movie about demons and ghosts, but you think they're not real?
Yeah, Lil Bro makes no sense, but I'm not going to lie. This movie really is something else, and I mean that in a good way.
I feel like back in 2013 when The Conjuring came out, it kind of revitalized the horror genre in mainstream media since it was such a successful horror movie. And during that time, there was only a few good horror movies.
Yeah, I can see that. This movie was based on the real-life case files from Ed and Lorraine Warren, so some of the things that occurred in the movie actually happened, but was portrayed in a way to appeal to the horror movie audience.
Ed and Lorraine Warren are frauds and con artists. They were never really demonologists or paranormal investigators. They're just a pair of opportunists that just fed on gullible people who believed in ghosts.
But you just said it was a better movie than Saw.
Doesn't matter. The stories and events they've told about Annabelle and the Amityville Horror could never happen since it's all impossible. That type of mumbo jumbo is only good for horror flicks like this.
It is possible and real. I mean, even if the Warren stories are a load of fake news, it still made for some pretty cool, scary movies.
Exactly my point, Towers.
You know, I hope some demons and spirits come and haunt you, Donald, to prove that they're real.
That's pretty messed up, man, even for Donnie.
The movie really does give off a very eerie atmosphere, despite some of the backstory just maybe being controversial and skewed.
You still can't ignore the facts when they're right there, and facts don't lie.
Just like how you can't ignore eating a Big Mac every day.
I think The Conjuring is a goated movie nonetheless, but next up is Annabelle, which is tied to the Conjuring universe.
Get this demon doll out of my face. I don't want to look at it.
You're an 80-year-old man scared of a piece of plastic. How pathetic.
I mean, I don't blame Joey, screw that, because whenever demons are involved, that's a huge nope for me.
Not gonna lie, this movie felt really forced, just to make money for the studio since they saw the major success with The Conjuring and popularity of the Annabelle doll.
And that's exactly why the story is a sham. Half the things they just made up to make more profit for those distribution companies, but in reality, it's fake news.
I say this movie is mid at best, but it does have some pretty creepy scenes, but that's just about it.
Next up is the original Piranha, which came out in 1978.
This movie came out 2 months before John Carpenter's Halloween, and not gonna lie, this movie is just straight up ridiculous.
Ooh, I remember this movie. Piranhas are so cute. I want to pet one.
There's no way you think a piranha is cute. Why don't you go fuck around and find out after petting a piranha?
What? I love fishies.
I do agree with Barry. Piranha is just a super cheesy movie, but it was widely successful.
The movie's budget was around $600,000 and it made over $10 million in the box office. So yeah, it was a success in that aspect. But as a whole, the idea of genetically modified piranhas is laughable to me.
And don't forget that they don't even show the actual piranhas in the movie until 40 minutes in, and you barely get to see what they look like.
And there's one scene that I'll never forget since it's terrible writing. A dad and his son are on a little boat and the dad falls into the water and gets eaten by a piranha, and right after, one of the main characters asks the kid if he's okay, which is a bruh moment since the kid literally watched it happen. Of course that kid is not okay. The hell, lil bro is traumatized for life.
And the fact that they had the military involved with the backstory of these fish is just outrageous. This movie is just outright awful.
Alien from 1979 was a movie that I vividly remember watching in the movie theater because I cried almost throughout the entire movie.
There's no way you cried like a baby when nothing really scary happened in the first hour of the movie.
Yeah, the first hour was just to get you familiar with the atmosphere and story. But after that, the scenes showed in the movie were petrifying.
Seeing that baby xenomorph burst out of that man's chest was a real...
Ah! Stop talking about it!
Shut up, you Alzheimer demented fossil. It's not real. It's just a movie. You better keep it down, Joseph, before I actually buy a xenomorph with my billions and send it to your house with express space shipping.
I'll take one of Elon Musk's spaceships to the moon then.
Good. Just stay there since no one wants you here.
Well, I say aside from the xenomorph being absolutely vicious and intimidating to look at, the isolated and claustrophobic setting aboard the spaceship is the real scary part when that alien is on board, since you literally have nowhere to go.
Oh yeah, partner, I don't even want to think about that. But since the movie did an incredible job with the practical effects, the story, and just everything, it's an instant horror classic.
That movie aged like fine wine since it doesn't even feel like it came out in 1979. It reminded me of Star Wars with the space theme and how terrific the movie looked in '79.
Guys, can we please skip this movie? I don't feel comfortable talking about it since the first time I watched it, I threw up!
Keep it down. How can we not talk about or include one of the most famous and terrifying horror films in cinematic history?
You know, this may be controversial to say, but I thought this movie was boring as hell.
I can see that. The movie didn't keep me intrigued that much in the beginning, but towards the end is where the crazy stuff happened.
I was 31 years old when this movie came out in 1973 when I was a handsome-looking Biden.
Oh, handsome? Are you sure you're not talking about me from the 70s and of course now? I was a ladies' man and a playboy with my hair and stature.
How does Joey at 31 years old look like he's 50? When I was in my 30s, I was a sharp-looking farmer fighter pilot. It was a great time back then with Laura and I do certainly miss feeling and looking like that hard-working cowboy.
I definitely looked the best out of all of us in the 70s. I was dripped out of my mind with no care in the world, just straight up vibing.
Ah, man, why do you guys actually look good?
You look like a mole rat, but this film's practical effects and makeup was groundbreaking for its time and was one of the main reasons why it was so scary.
I also heard this movie was banned in some countries because of how disturbing and intense it was, which is crazy.
Even crazier is that there was supposed unexplained accidents and eerie occurrences that happened while filming. Several unexplained fires broke out on set. Some of the cast and crew members reportedly died during or shortly after the production of the movie as well, which is just odd.
You already know what I have to say to all of that.
There were also reports of audience members fainting, vomiting, and experiencing distress while watching the film in movie theaters, which had people believe the movie was actually cursed.
Oh my God, no wonder why I puked after watching the movie. Wait, does that mean I'm cursed for life?
Yeah, it's probably the reason why you have dementia now.
Well, overall, even though I thought the movie was kind of boring and drawn out in the beginning, it's obviously a classic.
Paranormal Activity is next, and it's a found footage-style horror movie that has a really low budget of only $15,000.
The astonishing part about that budget is that it made 10,000 times that amount, grossing over $194 million, making this one of the most profitable films ever made in terms of return on investment.
$100 million? I wish I had that much money. Hey, Donnie, can you loan me a small loan of $100 million?
No.
It was obviously a success, but if you don't like the found footage type of style of movies, then you're not going to like watching it. It really does have that home footage and cheap vibe to it, but to some people, that's the beauty of it.
This movie had no music in it, and there were only 4 actors throughout the entire movie. So it really is a type of movie that can easily be made with an iPhone and a simple editing software nowadays.
The 2 lead actors were paid $500 each, which is crazy. and $3,000 out of $15K from the budget was spent on the camera. So overall, this movie was a tremendous financial success.
This movie sucks. It's super boring with barely anything happening, and I fell asleep midway through.
Of course you fell asleep, no surprise there, but some parts of the movie were boring since it was very limited with its budget. But I still think it did a decent job.
I really don't want to crap on this movie simply because of the very low budget, but for what they did, it was impressive. And comparing this movie to a lot of the others we ranked, unfortunately it's mid.
It's a mid movie, just like Insidious.
I still don't get how you can like other demon movies but call this one mid.
The only thing I like about this movie is my shawty Elise.
Jesus, Joey, we're definitely telling Jill after this, bro, but this movie ain't mid Donnie.
Wrong. It was a drawn-out movie that didn't bring anything new.
I felt like it did feel pretty original and new, and some scenes were just straight up jarring. Especially that one scene with the demon inside the bedroom.
Yeah, screw that, and screw that damn Darth Maul-looking ass demon and that demonic bride. I think overall, this is a goated movie, and next up is Oculus.
Ooh, Oculus? As in the Oculus Quest headset?
No, the movie about a haunted mirror, you moron. Which, now saying that out loud, this movie is fake news.
A haunted mirror named Oculus. What the frick?
Oh my gosh, Joey, the mirror's name isn't Oculus.
The idea of this antique mirror being possessed by an unknown supernatural force is a very interesting idea if it's done right, and I say the movie delivers.
You've got to be kidding me. How does a movie about a haunted mirror sound like a good idea to you?
You just got to give the lore and backstory of the mirror a chance. The things that occur in this movie because of the mirror is seriously menacing.
There are some very creepy scenes in this movie, and the themes it explores are pretty good. So overall, I honestly think it's on the same level as Insidious being goated.
Oh no, Sinister. I remember this movie. Hunter forced me to watch this movie, and let's just say that I passed out during some scenes.
Okay, this movie is scary, but I don't think it's that worthy for somebody to pass out.
I mean, some scenes were just straight up jaw-dropping, especially the pool scene, but I really do like this movie's story.
Okay, I can admit, Sinister compared to Insidious and Oculus is a step up, since it does the horror aspect pretty well.
Yeah, a little too well. Hunter had to pour ice cream all over my face to wake me up since I passed out to the Shadow Realm.
But this movie basically is about this guy who moves his family into this house that has a dark past, and he discovers a series of very disturbing home videos that reveal a malevolent supernatural entity tied to the murders of the house.
And that damn supernatural deity is an eerie thing to look at and honestly scares the crap out of me.
I don't know how people can come up with designs like that, but I think this is a goated film.
Now are you guys trying to make me pass out again? We have to skip Jeepers Creepers.
Get out of here, bro. This movie is a cult classic, and that look of the creeper is just grotesque.
If I saw that thing in my cornfields chasing after me, I would just give up and drop to the floor since you have zero chance running away from that thing.
Good thing that creeper is fake news.
No, he's real. He has a very specific eating cycle since the creeper awakens every 23 years for 23 days.
Since the original movie came out in 2001, 23 years later is next year. 2024, oh no.
Hell no, nigga, this is not happening.
It's not gonna happen. You guys stop freaking out over nothing. But if it does, then I hope it comes for Joseph first.
Hey, you are so mean. I'll go hide in the White House bunker.
I'm honestly scared for it to be 2024 then. I'm gonna hit up Elon Musk and Iron Man to upgrade the security of my farm, just in case the creeper takes an unwelcome visit.
Well, I'm placing this movie into the good tier since it's a memorable horror movie in my eyes, but next up is The Nun from the Conjuring Universe.
Nope, 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 nope.
Okay, I agree.
What a lousy cash grab of a movie this is. Just like Annabelle, the only reason this movie was made was for the profits.
Isn't that what every movie is made for, though?
Wrong. Movies are made with passion and a vision from a creative and innovative director and writer. This movie has no passion, no vision, and no creativity.
You don't think you're a little too harsh, Donnie?
Nope. This movie is awful. I don't care.
Really, bro? I mean, I guess I can see why, but if you're just simply watching this movie for the horror aspect, then there you go.
Honestly, I think I'm going to side with Donnie. There's really nothing new the movie does for the horror genre and uses every basic cliche from the book.
What about The Ring? Is this movie a cliche too?
Brother, I think I might just sit this one out. I'm getting actual goosebumps right now just simply looking at the poster.
It gets even spookier with the spine-chilling scenes of Samara in the movie.
When she comes out of that TV, that is just really, really startling. I don't think I'll ever look at those box TVs the same after that scene.
Oh, tell me about it. I completely stopped watching TV after this movie came out, and I even threw my TV off a cliff, kind of like how she fell off one too.
Now that's just messed up, Sleepy Joe.
The Ring brings a new and terrifying take on the horror genre. The scenes with her coming out of the well just makes me want to look away, since I feel like she'll come out of my damn TV.
Honestly, I think The Ring is a horror classic, and next up is Final Destination.
This movie isn't even scary. Why is it on this tier list?
You do have a point. This is not even a horror movie.
Technically speaking, it is. It just does the horror in a very different way compared to all these movies we have here.
The entire Final Destination franchise made me paranoid to do just about anything in my day-to-day life.
Oh yeah, that's the only thing that kind of made me scared, was that the simplest normal things you can do could possibly end up being game over for you.
Well, that's not going to stop me from living my best life. You wonder why I'm a billionaire. I take chances and risks, even if it's a risky chance for my life.
Nah, man, you're glazing it. The wild ways to die in these movies are crazy to me. And the scary part is that it can actually happen if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time.
And that right there is the scary part. And a pretty interesting thing about this movie is that originally it was intended to be a spec script for an episode of The X-Files.
Wait, what?
Oh wow, so it went from being a concept for just one episode of The X-Files, but turned into 5 movies.
Yep, but not gonna lie. The other movies kind of became a little repetitive, and the same thing over and over, like the Saw movies.
That's true, but they are kind of not to be taken seriously in a sense. So overall, I think the OG Final Destination is a good movie.
George Romero's Dawn of the Dead is next. And even though zombies are fake news, this movie is actually terrific.
Zombies aren't scary, so I don't know why this movie is on this list.
This is one of those iconic zombie horror movies you can't forget about, especially being directed by George Romero.
Rest in peace to Mr. Romero. He'll never be forgotten as the pioneer and father of the zombie films.
The film's special effects and makeup were groundbreaking for their time and has had a lasting impact on the zombie and horror genre.
Especially the shopping mall setting as well. I thought it was a super cool setting for zombies.
There's no doubt in my mind that this movie is a classic, and right there is part 1 of ranking horror movies.
Happy Halloweeny to everybody watching again, and make sure to comment down